Place is Khalid.
boomla. Awuyahlephisa ngishaya ibhoomla. Ufuna utira uphethe idona. Akushentshweni siyanyonyoba siyakhokhoba. Nami ngishaya ibhoomla. Awuyahlephisa ngishaya ibhoomla. Ufuna utira uphethe idona. Akushentshweni siyanyonyoba siyakhokhoba.
Awubambekile uyakusasa ifoni off vele nangomsindo uyabasa abayarasa bayachaza labantwana awunamkhankazi le nkqubo yasaphaza
Siyabangena Bethi magoya Ishayi ibhomu wena ubhizu yabaphesha Yeza se qedela wena Awusiyaqhubeka ngalesigubhu siyabangena
Good morning. Hamjambo. Now we are about to begin our session, and today we have two very interesting sessions. One of them is a motivational speaking, where we talk about self-leadership, how to win a lone relay, a relay that you're the only participant. Then we also have another session that brings in front of you CPAs who are also national leaders who are in politics. And we shall be looking at professional ethics and accountability in that particular forum. So I don't believe this is going to be the climax of this event, where we're going to go a bit soft and we're going to go a bit up the higher levels in the organization. So I would request all of us to rise up and start the day by the national anthem. And we'll sing along, only one stanza in Kiswahili. Thank you very much. Can receive our seats. So I'm not going to make a very long introduction of my chief executive, who is going to be the session chair of this morning, but I'll invite him to the stage to be able to take us through and introduce the speaker. The session chair, for those who may not know, is CPA Dr. Patrick Ngumi, who, as I mentioned, is the Chief Executive of ICPAK and also the Secretary to the Council. Join me in welcoming CPA Dr. Patrick Ngumi by a round of applause.
Thank you, Tom. I start by welcoming members and delegates once again for the last day of the 32nd annual seminar for the Institute. Today, I'll be chairing both the sessions of today, which are very interesting because they take us away from the usual hard stuff that we as accountants are used to. The topic for this morning is self-leadership, winning a lone relay. And it will be delivered by none other than Dr. Ware Akinyemi, who is a speaker, a writer, and a motivational speaker. Dr. Akinyemi is the CEO of Power Talks Limited, a corporate and personal development consulting firm, where he also serves as the lead consultant, trainer, and facilitator. He's a graduate of demography and statistics and has over 20 years of working with companies and individuals in different parts of the world. Dr. Ware is an internationally respected and most sought after conference speaker and business strategy advisor. He has continuously been ranked by his clients, who include some of the delegates here, as being one of the most inspiring and creative thought leaders in business strategy. I know most of us are not new to Dr. Ware. He runs a series of very motivational articles in the Daily Nation newspapers on Fridays, and he also has written quite a number of books which you can have, which we know which appear in our bookshelves in the country. And he also participates in various series of TV shows in this country and talks. I think there's one with the NTV that is called AM Life. I've seen him there previously. So join me in welcoming Dr. Ware. Thank you. Karibu sana. Welcome.
Cordless mic that I can move around with?
Oh, cordless mic.
Yes, I can start.
What we can do is, yes.
Okay, I'll start here.
Let me ask for one.
Okay.
Can we have a cordless mic at the front? Excuse me? A cordless mic.
They're coming. All right, good morning. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be here. And I want to thank the organizers for giving me this privilege to stand before you. I'm a passionate African. Whenever people ask me how I want to be introduced, I always say they introduce me as a passionate African. That does it. Now, you're going to forgive me for something. When I was a little kid, thank you so much. When I was a little kid, I was diagnosed with a condition which some of you may know about. It's called attention deficit disorder. Has anybody heard of that condition? All right, ADD. So I had that condition, and as a result of that condition, I am not able to stand on one spot for very long. In fact, when I was younger, if my mother wanted me to sleep, she just got me to sit down for about 3 minutes, and I will start sleeping. Now, the tragedy is that nothing has changed much. So that's why, with your permission, sir, can I walk around? It's okay for me to walk around. Because if I stand on this spot, I think I might sleep before you sleep. Now, it becomes a disaster when the speaker is the one sleeping. You know, and that also now leads to what I want to talk about, because I'm going to talk about 3 major themes. And one is the lone relay, leading yourself. And then I'm going to move it to creating the environment. I'm very passionate about that. Creating the environment for the performance you want to see. And then I will round up by talking about capacity. Building capacity for where you want to be. So let me first talk about this lone relay thing. The truth is this: you cannot lead people effectively if you have not led yourself. A lot of people, the problem we have, one of the biggest problems we have with leadership in our continent is that we have people who have not really led themselves into anything great. We have people who have been strategically positioned so that they can be strategically appointed. Now, the truth is, if you do not lead yourself, why should anybody follow you? And I'm going to talk about, the fact that I'll tell you stories. I'm a storyteller, and I'll share with you some of the things that I had to do. Now, I don't have a social life. Some of you who are my friends know that. I go to bed at 10 o'clock in the evening, latest, except when I am like yesterday night with the governing council. But normally, 10 o'clock, I go to sleep. Then, at 2:30 a.m., I am in my study every single day. And then, on days when I'm not training, if I have to go to the office, then 4:30 a.m., I try to be on my desk in the office. Now, why do I do crazy things like that? It's because if you don't have a vision of where you want to be, you will never have the motivation to lead yourself there. Self-relay, running that lone race, starts with having a vision of where you want to be. I made up my mind. Now, people call me a motivational speaker. I was shocked the first day I saw that myself, because my background is in demography and social statistics, and I have practiced that for 26 years. However, people began to call me a motivational speaker after I lost money. So I figured the way to be called a motivational speaker is lose money, and then people will say you are motivational. No, see, I'm so serious. Nobody called me motivated. Nobody thought I was motivating anything. Even the cockroach in my house was not motivated before. But you just lose money, and then you become motivational. Anyway, so I lost money. I lost a lot of money. I was running my business in America, then went to Nigeria. with a dream that I can change the world, I can change Nigeria, I can make a difference. Well, when I got to Nigeria, I wanted to change the land changed me. It was a totally different story. By the time I walked out of Nigeria, one transaction, I lost $1.3 million. Another transaction, I lost $5 million. Then they called me a motivational speaker. And when you fail on that level, you become what I call a successful failure. All right? Very successful. And some of you have heard me say this story before. My hands were shaking. I couldn't hold a bottle of water with my hand. It's shaking like this. The left side of my face is twitching. I'm told that's how people behave before they die. But I had a motivation. Again, motivation. To stay alive. And what was that motivation? I said, if I die, then some idiot will marry my wife. Now, that was non-negotiable. I have married this girl. Do you know what I went through when I was chasing her? Do you know how she said no to me? And I used to drive a distance of like from Nairobi to Nakuru. 2-hour drive to go and pick her for a church service at 7 a.m. on Sunday in a church that was a 5-minute walk from her house. You know, there's this song, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? How many of you heard that? Why do fools fall in love? Let me tell you, if what you have found has not made you a fool, it's not love. So here I was, arriving in her house, and she's not grateful I'm there. And I pick her to church, and I say, what else can I do? You know, I am leading myself. This is a lone race. I'm not competing with anybody. Well, there were a lot of competitors, you know, silly boys that did not. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So, here I am. I'm thinking, what else must I do? So I discovered she likes to sing. Me, I play the keyboard. But you see, we sang in different places. Her own singing was in church. Mine was in the club. You understand what I'm saying? Me, I played jazz in the club, and in my room, I had a big poster. Don't step on the grass, smoke it. You know? Now, I am chasing this church girl. You understand what I'm saying? Hey, me, I joined the choir. Oga, I joined the choir. Lone relay. Are you hearing me? Me, I joined the choir. Then that didn't work. Me, I began to play keyboard in church. Then that didn't work. Then me, I'm a very, very traditional village African man. My village in Nigeria, one road passes through and you can go through it in 30 seconds. My village is so remote, it does not, nobody in my village can dream of becoming a pilot. Planes don't fly over. It is so remote. My father said that we don't even appear on any official map of Nigeria. So we don't exist. But so I said all that to say, I never understood, ladies, forgive me. Am I forgiven? In advance. I never understood the importance of flowers. Why should I give somebody flowers? Because I did not understand why I should give somebody something, and accountants understand with me. Why I should give somebody something that 4 days later, I will use my own hands to throw it in the dustbin. It would have been easier to take the money direct into the dustbin. Yes or no? But my wife liked flowers. Hey, me, I became a horticulturist. I knew the names of flowers. I knew, hey, you understand what I'm saying? Now, listen, you will never know what you are capable of doing until you set a target of what you want to achieve. And because I set the target, it did not matter who was running with me or who was not running with me. I identified this is where I want to be in my life. This is the kind of girl I want to marry. This is a girl that, you know, guys always know the one that is good for wife and the one that is good for girlfriend. Guys know, isn't it? I said, this one, hey, she will give me peace in my life. Because me, I don't like drama. If I married somebody who gave me drama, I would have relocated to Timbuktu long ago. So I knew what I wanted, set the target, and I'm going to talk about all these things. Created the environment, built the capacity. Hey, and today, I have conquered. I've been married to her for the whole chasing process took about 6 years. And now we have been married for 24 years. And she still makes me happy. And I still make her happy 24 years down the line. So, and of course, she can't get away scot-free. God had to deal with her for giving me so much trouble. So all my 3 children look exactly like me. So my question, where do you want to be as an individual? I made up my mind, I want to build an international company. I don't want to be a local champion. Let me tell you, when I decided being a local champion was not an option. I went to Lagos. I was doing some business, so I go to Lagos and I change money. I collect money from the bank. And all the money I collected was about 500,000 naira then, many years ago. Now, 500,000 naira then was a lot of money. Now, the highest denomination at that time was the 50 naira note. On this particular day, they did not have 50 nairas. They had only 20 nairas. So my car was full of money. Money in the boot, money everywhere. I felt like a very rich man. Until I changed the money. I mean, we have police checkpoints, which is legalized armed robbery in Nigeria. And so I said, I get to the police checkpoint and they say, what do you have in your boot? With attitude, money. I felt like a very rich man until I changed the money into dollars and everything fit the breast pocket of my suit. Then I went into a depression. And that day I vowed I refused to be a local champion. Now, so again, this loan relay, I made up my mind. I want to have a company that is respected across borders. I want to have a company that can work in different continents. So I began to develop myself for it again. Now, I never measure myself by the person next to me. I measure myself by where I want to be. And because you see, the person next to me, he may look like he's doing something. We have a proverb in Nigeria. You don't tell your time by looking at somebody else's watch. Because that person's watch may be fast, it may be slow. So I measured myself with where I wanted to be. And so what did I do? I began first create the environment. I had to create an international air around me. Then I had to build my capacity. There's no way I'm going to be talking to people and I'm not going to be citing international examples and so on and so forth. My packaging had to change. And today, I am very, very proud to say the only continent that I don't have clients yet, and I met somebody last week who is inviting me to do some work there. The only continent on the face of the earth where I don't have clients is in South America. I have clientele in every other continent you have on the face of the earth. But you see, it was not an accident. Neither was it a coincidence. It was not. It was something that was determined from the beginning, that this is where I want to be. And because it was determined, I had the motivation. It was not easy driving from Lagos to Ibadan to go and chase a girl who was not looking at me. But especially when there were others who were advertising. And they were really advertising. It was not easy. But what I've discovered, no matter how difficult it is, if we set the target of where we want to be, if we create the environment for where we want to be, and we build the capacity, for where we want to be. It's just a matter of time. We will get there. Am I communicating this morning? So the question, ask the person sitting next to you, where are you going? Now, you know why this is important? You know why this is important? If you don't know where you are going, you have to get down where you are dropped. If you don't know what you want, you have to make do with what you are given. If you don't know the truth about your life, every lie becomes a possibility. So you need to have a well-defined idea of where you are going. I wrote a book called Mental Independence, and all my books are out there. I wrote a book called Mental Independence, and my publisher is here. Simon is the CEO of Longhorn. That's my publisher. So we need to clap for them for making my books available. Now, listen. In my book, Mental Independence, I said, if you do not have a clear picture of where you want to be, you will continue to stay where you have been. And you may be comfortable there. And that's the challenge. So if you are going to make sure you're going to the next level, it is so crucial. And I'm going to talk about this whole thing about developing yourself. Because the truth is, no entity can develop beyond the mental capacity of its decision makers. No entity. That's why you can have a country like Nigeria with one of the highest number of PhDs in the world, but when you have a country that is led by people who do not have functional brains, then the Nigerian disaster happens. Thank God for people like Buhari who have come now. For 8 years, we had a president who, and the only good luck we had in the country was the name of the president. For 8 years, how does a president go and say stealing is not corruption? All right? So that is where some of the challenge is. So, where are you going? There's something I always talk about, and it's the word legacy. Legacy is how you are going to be defined when you are no more there to defend yourself. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want people to talk about you when you are no more where you are? The truth is, you will either be a warning or an inspiration. There's nothing in between. A day will come, somebody will want to work there, and they'll say, if you want to succeed, whatever you do, be like so and so. Or, if you want to succeed, whatever you do, don't be like so and so. So, warning or inspiration. So, you need to set the target where you want to be. Having set the target, we now go into the next thing, the environment. Now, you hear credibility, professionalism, and accountability. And my question is, what is the definition of credibility? What is the definition of professionalism? What is the definition of accountability? If we are not unified in our definitions, then interpretation becomes personal. That's why somebody can say stealing is not corruption. So we need to have, what is the ICPAK definition of credibility? We're not leaving it to the dictionary, because there are different dictionaries with different meanings. And you need to look at it within a cultural perspective. For instance, one of the challenges Nigeria has is that the line between corruption and culture is non-existent anymore. Because in my culture, if you go and visit an elderly man or a woman, somebody who you have regard and honor for, you don't go empty-handed. You go with a present. Now, when that person is now the minister or the governor, who can give you the contract you want, where does culture end and corruption begin? Because I still go with a gift, isn't it? But in this case, something good can come out of it. So those are some of the questions I want to pose to you as I now move into environment. All right. Now, can I have the presentation back up? The environment. And I'm going to show you certain things. 400 billion. When you see that figure, it probably doesn't mean much to you. But if you have been studying Nigeria and the integrity and corruption issues in Nigeria, you will discover that $400 billion is the amount of money stolen by Nigerians between independence and the year 2000. Now, they said that that amount of money, if you stacked it on one on the other, it will go to the moon and back 72 times. Now that's a lot of money, isn't it? And my question is, how do they successfully steal so much money in such an environment where people are still struggling to eat? And why would countries like Luxembourg, which have too much money, why don't such things happen in Switzerland? Why don't we hear of such things? 400 billion. Then, this is very sad, 55 Nigerians stole 1.3 trillion naira in 8 years, according to the federal government of Nigeria. Now, let me show you the conversion in shillings, so you have an idea. Now, look at that. You see that? So, 15 ex-governors, this is the shillings on this side, stole 73 billion shillings. 4 ex-ministers stole 3.5 billion. 5 ex-legislators, 4.2 billion Kenya shillings. Public servants at the national level, federal level, 3.4 billion. At the state level, 5 of them, 3.6 billion. In the banking industry, 8 people stole 262 billion. And 11 businessmen stole 326 billion. That's a lot of money. And I've spoken with the governments in different places where I work, and one of the things that I've said is, no war against corruption can defeat this. Because with money comes a lot of power, yes or no? So how do we deal with that? And then, this is the face of a thief. If you've never seen a thief before, I'm serious. If you've never seen a thief before, now this is what thieves look like. When you see this face, that is a thief. Now this fellow, he was the national security advisor under President Good Luck, Bad Luck Jonathan. You understand what I'm saying? He was the national security advisor. And this fellow, he took off with $2.1 billion to be used for procuring equipment to fight Boko Haram. 2.1 billion US dollar, not Zimbabwe dollar, US. So when the Nigerian army had to run because they were not equipped to fight Boko Haram, that's the man. So everybody that lost their lives under Boko Haram in Nigeria because of an ill-equipped army, that is the man. The blood of too many people is on his head. Okay? So that you understand why I'm putting his face, so you see. That's the man. Now my question is, how could this level of theft have been carried out in the first place? And I had a discussion, and I promised that I was going to mention this when I came here. I had a discussion one day. I've had interaction with some of you because I facilitate transformational leadership at the Senior Leadership Development Program of the Kenya School of Government. So I've met quite a number of you there. And one day at the School of Government, we were having a discussion with some people, and we talked about this. And somebody made a statement, and I'm going to say it because the person said, and I don't know what your views are, that no corruption is possible without the cooperation of an accountant. Is that the truth? Is that the truth? You know that these guys are mumus. These guys are fools. These ones. They have no clue how to do things. Anyway, that's a discussion. I hear there is a debate coming up. Now, so my question, how could this level of theft have been carried out? All right? And that leads me to something very, very crucial, if I can get. Now, all right, this is a young lady that came to serve me chocolates when I got here. And very, very pleasant girl. And with so much respect and courtesy. And I see that. Now, on the other hand, I went to a particular hotel in Nairobi. I will not dignify them by mentioning their name. So I met this young lady, the exact opposite of this one. This young lady, I do not hold it against her, because I concluded that she probably lacks the capacity to think. So you cannot hold it against somebody who lacks the... She treated me so badly, this lady in Nairobi. Then I asked, I said, I want to see your boss. And when the boss came, he was worse than her. So my question, why is it that in some places, no matter how low down the chain you go, you meet with excellence? And in some other places, no matter how high up you go, you meet with mediocrity and stupidity. How many of you can identify with what I'm talking about? Am I speaking the truth? So as a researcher, I am asking questions. Why is it? And we will get to the answer. The answer comes from this riddle. You always you love polar bears and want to have polar bears in your Nairobi home as a pet. But there's a problem. You get the polar bear, you get the transportation logistics, and you get highly trained people to bring it in. You spend so much money to get it here. So guess what? In terms of logistics, you are covered. In terms of manpower, you are covered. In terms of the funding, you are covered. When it lands, you have a party to celebrate it, but 3 days later, it dies. And my question, what happened? All right, don't worry, we are going there. So, many organizations have great and ambitious goals, including government. Ambitious goals. Nothing wrong with that, because your dreams are valid. You invest a lot in development of strategy. You have the right team. You have invested in building the capacity of your team. Yet it fails to deliver what it was meant to deliver. The polar bear dies. And I remember in the year 1978, Nigeria came up with a program called Operation Feed the Nation, which was supposed to take Nigeria off dependency from oil. Okay? It didn't work. Then they came with Green Revolution movement, which was supposed to do what Operation Feed the Nation was supposed to do, which didn't work. Green Revolution did not work. Then they had mass mobilization for social and economic recovery, which also did not work. And as at last week, or 2 weeks ago, there were still queues at the petrol stations. All right? So, what happened? And they had great strategies, and they have great brains, but it didn't work. You know, and I'm going to give you an example right now, and I am talking exclusively about Nigeria. Is that okay? Because I don't want to be deported. Now, listen. This is a Nigerian story. Okay, tell your neighbor he's talking about Niger. Okay, good. So, and it's on camera. I'm talking about Nigeria. 78 again, there was an election coming up in 79, and the politicians were full blast. And they were promising all sorts of things. They were campaigning. And do you know the key things they promised? Water, electricity, roads, hospitals, and schools. Water, electricity, roads, hospitals, schools. 1978. Last year, there was an election in Nigeria, and the politicians were campaigning. What were they promising? Roads, hospitals. Now, say again. He's talking about Nigeria. Now, let me tell you how bad it is. You can take the video of a campaign in 1978 and play it in 2015 and you don't need to edit. Exactly the same thing. So how do you know if transformation has happened in a place? The problems will change. As long as we have the same problems, transformation has not happened. Now, a lot of organizations, you have transformation programs. That's why I started with leading yourself. If you are not going through personal transformation, you cannot deliver organizational transformation. Because your mindset will resist what it takes to transform. Now, many people talk about transformation. Let me tell you, I think the challenge we have with transformation is in the English language. The English language, I think that's our biggest problem. When you hear the word transatlantic, what does it mean? Across the Atlantic. Transcontinental, what does it mean? Transnational, what does it mean? So it does sound, like the word trans means across. Isn't it? So if the word trans means across, then transform means across form. From one form to another. Let me give you an example. Think of the butterfly. One form is the egg. One form is the larva. One form is the pupa. One form is the adult. Yes or no? So transformation is a movement from form to form. What we have called transformation in Africa is excessive activity within a form. So we are busy. We are having programs, mass mobilization. Mother, we are having programs, but we are still eggs. How do I know we are still eggs? Our problems have not changed. As long as the problem has not changed, you have not transformed. So, and I began to research, why is it we have great minds, great brains, and transformation is not happening? How can an oil producing country have fuel shortage? It does not make sense. I'm going to be speaking at a huge forum in Lagos in 2 weeks' time, and I'm taking the same message to them. How does an oil producing country with PhD holders more than you can count, how is it that we are still importing petrol, yet we have the crude in the ground? How is it that we are exporting our geniuses to other nations of the world, and then we are importing the fools of other nations? And then our geniuses will go abroad and they will start by flipping burgers and things like that. But the fools we import, we pay them more than we were ready to pay our own geniuses. We have a problem. So why is it? I began to do that research. I began to study. So the big question, ask your neighbor that question. Come on, ask your neighbor. So to answer that question, I'm going to take you on a very short journey.
I love classical music. And I discovered that this musician called Mozart, this guy is one of the greatest classical musicians that ever lived. But a lot of people don't know that Mozart's father was a musical genius. So the only thing Mozart was exposed to as a kid was music, classical music. So guess what? This guy, at the age of 5, Mozart was composing music. At the age of 5. And my question to you, was it a... Now this my pointer is having a problem. Can I have the other? Was it a coincidence or was it a miracle? Because if you are leading yourself, I want you to lead yourself to a point today where the results you are getting are neither coincidental and neither can they be explained as miracles. They are results you intentionally set out to achieve. And in my research, I bumped into a guy called Laszlo Polga from Hungary, Budapest. And this gentleman, he had a certain belief system that geniuses were made and not born. He believed that specialized training was more important than natural talent. And he also stumbled on Mozart. And he concluded that Mozart was the product of a process which just happens to be music. In essence, he's saying what Mozart was able to accomplish with music, if you will subject yourself to the same process, you can achieve the same result in any area. Now, that was mind-boggling for me. He used his daughter as an experiment, and he said he was going to take this ordinary girl and make her the best chess player in the world. Now, he said genius is not born, but is educated and trained, and when a child is born healthy, it is a potential genius. Let me tell you up front, I had a problem with that. I had a problem with that because I have read, and there are so many IQ tests, isn't it? So it does appear to me that you cannot alter a person's IQ or a person's intelligence. Am I communicating? But this guy is telling me that it does not matter what the state of the brain is at birth. You can alter the state and the quality of that intelligence. So I said, wow, I don't agree with that. And that fueled more research. Then I stumbled on an experiment that had been done many years ago. And they took these 6 people who had done excellent in an IQ test, a series of IQ tests. They took them, and they were the geniuses, quote and unquote. And there was a gentleman who did not make the IQ test. And they followed this class throughout their lives. And guess what they discovered? Those 6 people who passed the IQ test, every IQ test, they went on to live normal lives. That guy who did not make the cut ended up winning a Nobel Prize. So it did appear, and I began to think it does appear. Some people might be mistaken as geniuses simply because they are good at passing IQ tests. Not because there's anything particularly brilliant about them. So this guy went on, and there were odds against him. He was no great chess player himself, and this was a season, a period where the popular belief was that women did not possess the kind of thinking for chess. So he went ahead to create this fortunate circumstance, and guess what happened? His first daughter, Susan Polgar. This lady is the first female chess grandmaster in the world. has the brain of a genius, head of Susan Polgar Institute for Chess, and at 15, she became top-ranked woman player in the world. Also the first woman to break the gender barrier. I think that's the place where the ladies in the house should clap. So my question again, was this a coincidence? Was this a miracle? Then let's go on. Now, if you think the first one was that his second daughter, Judith Polgar, became the number 1 rated woman in the world at the age of 12. And guess what? She's the only woman to have won a game from a reigning world number 1, her sister. She's defeated. I mean, this lady has an amazing thing. Then this is the one that I love. In June 2015, she was elected the new captain and head coach of the Hungarian national men's team. Now, the third daughter became a grandmaster at the age of 14. Now, come. Something is going on here. Prof, something is going on here, isn't it? This cannot all be a coincidence. Or do you think it's a coincidence? Something is going on here. And so I decided I wanted to practicalize this. I did not want to come, and I've been on this research for years. And this year is when I just started talking about it. I decided I didn't want my speaking to be just academic. That he read something. So I decided I was going to turn my 3 children. At that time, I had no child. So I decided, when she finally said yes, remember where we are coming from? When she finally said yes, I decided I am going to turn my 3 children into geniuses. And I set out what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted them to be straight A's. I wanted them to be socially well-rounded. And I wanted them to be entrepreneurial in their thinking. So I set out. Now, as a social scientist, when you set out the objective of the experiment before you start it, if at the end of the experiment, the result you get is what you set out to get, then it's no more a coincidence. Are we agreed? So let me tell you about the 3 of them. My first son is studying information systems and technology at USIU. And he's never, in his academic life, I've never seen him score less than an A. My second son, listen, my second son is also studying international business administration in the same place, and he has never scored less than an A. In fact, my second son is full of drama, because I've seen him, they will give him 96 over 100, and then he will contest that, no, it should be 100. My daughter is doing a business diploma, BTech, at Brook House, and she has never scored less than an A. So my 3 children are straight A's. The boys are graduating with first-class honors. Okay? Now, miracle or coincidence? Then let's look socially. My first son came to meet me. He said, Dad, I want a platform to showcase the things I can do. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I'm going to be Mr. USIU. I said, wow. I said, then go for it. He went for the training, like 8 to 12 weeks of training. He is the current Mr. USIU. And not only that, he's gotten contracts, modeling contracts, all sorts of things, and he gets paid to wear clothes. I said, I'm in the wrong job. My second son said, what? Even me. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, I'm going to be the School of Business rep. And he went for it, and today he's the USIU Shandaria School of Business representative. Today. My daughter, she's one of the best public speakers I know. You should invite her next year. She's 16. She went and recently got back from South Africa, where she had gone to give a speech. She's given a speech in Geneva, in different parts of the world later on this year. She is 16. And remember, all of them straight A's. Okay? Entrepreneurially, my daughter is starting her own clothing line. My first son has an events company. My second son is a DJ. So, would you like to know what I did? Yes. You know, when you are watching television, this is the place where they now say, Afro Cinema continues shortly. Because now, even if I want to sit down, you don't want me to sit down. All I did, and I'll tell you, all I did was the findings of 24 years, 25 years of researching and thinking about this. I concluded that there is no performance that you want, whether for yourself in that lone relay, whether for your organization, whether for your family. If you will set it from the beginning and you will create the environment for it, it will happen. I never talk to my children like children, because I discovered if I treat them like children, they will behave like children. So anytime I read a book, we would discuss it together, right from when they were small. They would discuss business ideas. If I had money, they knew. If I lost money, they knew. I would hold 1 million shillings and hold it, give it to my boy as a little kid. Hold. This is what 1 million feels like. Smell it. Smell it. Is somebody hearing me? I was not, when we have lunch or dinner, it's like an MBA class. They are talking about what they saw on Bloomberg. They are talking about stuff. So guess what? Naturally, their thinking was ahead of their classmates who are still thinking, Daddy, can I have money to buy shoes? Their thinking was way ahead. And that's why they have been called to teach their own classmates. Because the environment was created. Let me go on very quickly. Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. I'm standing on the queue. And then somebody is taken to the front of the queue. I'm very angry. Because I've been standing here, then it happens again. And again, so I console myself that maybe they have some form of disability. That's why they cannot stand. Then I get to London Heathrow. I'm standing on the line. Who is behind me? The same fool that could not stand in Lagos. So my question, why do they behave in a particular way in one environment and in another environment they behave differently? Why is it that the Matatu driver who does not know that red means stop, you take him to another environment where people do stop at red, take him around for a while, then let him drive. What will he do when he gets to red? Did anybody have to teach him? I always tell HR people, if you embrace this, you will drop down your training budget dramatically. Simply by creating the environment for the performance you want. All right? Now, so what happens is this. Don't forget the riddle. What is the riddle? Ask your neighbor. So we have our great strategy. We have the right strategy. We have a dynamic team. We have heavy investment in the team. Great incentives, but guess what? Capacity, we score 100. Delivery, we are struggling. Does that sound familiar? Why? Because we didn't create the environment. We did not. This is the way it works. You have your strategy. And all the things you expect your strategy to deliver, they are there. Business growth, all those things. But it does not work because you've not considered your environment. You didn't consider it. So guess what? You have culture on one side, your strategy on the other side, but culture begins to eat it. And everything you expected your strategy to deliver is eaten up because you did not consider the environment. Am I speaking the truth? So what are we going to do about this? Let me tell you what we are going to do. The polar bear died because the best of strategies cannot stand the weight of culture. And it applies as an individual. I wanted to run an international company. I wanted to... There's no advantage in being the brightest among fools. There's no benefit in being the most intelligent among fools. I decided I wanted to be considered brilliant among the brilliant. So I created an environment for it. I'm not going to hang around people who complain. You know, victim, the language of victims is complaining. I refuse to be a victim. I refuse to interact with mediocrity. I do not support or condone mediocrity in any way. I cannot sit down in a place where the conversation around me is mediocre. I cannot. I am allergic to stupidity and mediocrity. I react to it. My body reacts to it. I cannot hang out with people whose reasoning faculty is in a state of suspended animation. I cannot. These are people, their brains are disconnected from their results and their body. These are people who think they are thinking, but they are rotating ignorance around their heads. I cannot hang out with such people. I cannot hang out with people who think by mistake. I cannot. I had to create the environment. I was not sitting down. Now, trust me, there's nothing wrong with what I'm about to say. But for me, because of where I was going, even my entertainment had to teach me something. I was not going to sit down with African Magic watching Ramsey Noah crying about a girl that left him. That did not add to me. I sat down with Bloomberg. I wanted to see what the movers and shakers in the world were doing. I sat down with CNN Money. I wanted to hear figures that I don't hear around me. Is somebody hearing me? I had to create the environment personally, and then it spilled out to my children and to my business. That's why I can have a client as far away as Sri Lanka, and I can have a client as far away as Los Angeles. Because I had to create that environment. So can your 2016 strategy find success with the environment you have? No matter how much capacity you build in your team, there must be a conducive atmosphere for capacity to find expressions. Because a lot of organizations, we develop capacity, but we don't get the results we want. And I'll tell you why. Do you know, since I've been a little kid, America has been at one war or the other? Yes or no? From Vietnam, Gulf War. If there's no war, they'll create one. You understand what I'm saying? And for a long time, I began to ask, why is America so into creating wars? Then, bingo, the light came on. America has the best trains. They have the highest military budget in the world. Now, let me tell you how high it is. I'm sure you don't know how high it is. Can I tell you how high it is? If America were to cut their training budget by 85%, they will still have the highest military budget in the world. Okay? If they were to cut it by 85%, they will still have the highest. Now, when you have such an investment in training soldiers, you better find places for them to find expression. That's why you must find a war to fight somewhere. Even with all that training, sometimes a soldier wakes up, he goes crazy and opens fire on all his colleagues in the barracks. Don't you see it? Imagine if they were not fighting other wars outside and they are that trained. So it is so important to know it does not matter what level of capacity you build. You must create the environment. Let me tell you, people naturally migrate. There was a time when the best doctors in Nigeria had all moved to Saudi Arabia. The best nurses in Kenya were moving to America. Why? Because people naturally migrate to environments where their skills will find expression. It's a natural migration. So, if we want to see things happen around us, we need to create the environment, that environment. And some of the dynamics of culture, it's a function of the environment you create. It's got a big appetite, like we have said. There are two dimensions of it, the visible and the invisible. And let's look at the visible. The visible is what we all know. It's what we all do. You know, whether we have an open plan in the office, open floor plan or whatever, whether we wear casual, smart casual, all those ones are the visible things. You know, with flexi hours and things like that, the office, those are the visible things. And those ones are easy. But the invisible is difficult. The invisible is what we believe. I was able to lead myself because of what I believed about myself. What do you believe about yourself? Now, this is the biggest challenge, is how do we get people to believe what you want them to believe? How do you get people, and as a leader, because leadership is influence, how do we get people to believe what we want them to believe? This is the invisible part of culture that creates the environment for top performance. How do we? And I have been looking and wondering, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do I get people to change a mediocre belief system and imbibe a belief system of excellence? How do I get people to drop their small thinking and take up big thinking? How do I get people to do it? Because some people think so small, they are content with being a goldfish inside a small aquarium. When you can be a great white shark in the ocean. And I say, when you are a small fish in the aquarium and they throw you in the ocean, you will be swallowed by a shark and you will not even know that you have been swallowed. In fact, he will take you in and release you, and you will not know something has happened to you. I refuse to be a small goldfish. So how do I get people to imbibe what I believe? And after many years, the light bulb came on and I realized, wow, the answer has always been with us. I just didn't see it. Do you know what the answer is? Religion. I know that one caught you off guard. Every religion of the world, every religion has one purpose: to make you believe what they want you to believe, regardless of what you have believed before. Yes or no? So we need to ask, how does that happen? Every religion, if we can understand the psychology of religion, then we can understand how to change culture. So, what ingredients of religion? There must be a message. What is your message of transformation? What is your message to yourself, to your team, to your organization? My message to myself is that, Wale, you are not a local champion. Wale, you are a transformer. Wale, you will change the thinking of people. That was my message to myself. There is the message, there is the messenger. Every religion has a preacher. A lot of us want to have transformation in our organizations, and we don't have preachers of the new culture. And we wonder why. So culture is not going to change because you issued a directive. No, there's the preacher. There are the doers and there are the consequences. Let me show you about the doers. Are you ready? Everybody look at me. Look at me. Are you ready? Everybody, are you looking at me? Are you looking at me? Come on. Now go ahead. Everybody touch your chin. Come on, come on. There we go, there we go, there we go. Nearly 2,000 people. Is that your chin? Is that your chin? So guess what I just did? I just showed you the preacher and the doer. You see, because I was doing this when I was talking, it did not matter what I said. That means the people you are leading will do what they see you do, no matter what you are saying. So here I am, talking, all of a sudden this has become your chin. Ask your neighbor, how could you allow this Niger boy to get you like that? Okay, let's begin to wrap this up. Now, warning. It's not just changing the physical environment. Oh, let's change our color, let's change our logo, let's change all that. No. There must be a balance between your strategy, your physical environment, and emotional environment, which I will talk about briefly. Now, look at this picture. Nigeria Airways of blessed memory. Now, Nigeria Airways was one of the biggest carriers in the continent. But guess what happened? They began to lose money. They began to lose money. They began to go downhill. They began to spiral downhill. It was really bad, you know. Now, like I said, there are few things as terrible as having people who do not have functional brains in positions of authority. I used to work at the Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Nigeria in the late 80s as a researcher before I stepped out to consulting. And I met this gentleman there. Now, the Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies is the highest strategy and policy formulating organ in Nigeria, actually in West Africa. So I met this gentleman who said to me, you know, this is why Nigeria Airways is not making money. This is why they are failing. It is the logo. I said, what do you mean, sir? He said, can't you see the logo is an elephant? So when the plane is taking off, the weight of the elephant, it will be affecting the flight of the planes. No, this is truth stranger than fiction. So they changed the logo to an eagle. And shortly afterwards, the airline collapsed. Because it's not about logo. You know, we go for team buildings. I was here last week with some people, your HR team. I was here with Kenyan HR team last week. And I said, we go for team buildings, we pull, tug of war, whoa, we laugh, yeah. You know, tug of war has never changed any culture. It cannot change the culture of a fly. Because if I did not like you before we did tug of war, when we get back to the office on Monday, the fact that we have done tug of war does not mean I now like you. Is somebody hearing me? We just waste a lot of money on funny things that have no sustainable result. Tug of war does not make me like you. In fact, if your team beats me, then my hatred for you is consolidated. So we must be conscious of the emotional environment, which is more powerful than the physical. It's a function of attitudes, behaviors, and interpersonal relationships. What is the behavioral environment? What are the attitudes of people like? How do we interact with one another? That is what changes culture. The emotional environment is the canvas on which culture is painted. If we don't get that right, it's the first thing that needs to be addressed before we have any meaningful discussion on culture. All right? Now, it's driven by leadership, but everybody must contribute to it. The truth is, even in your lone relay as an individual, the truth is this: if you don't have the right attitude about life, you are not going anywhere. You know, when I lost $6.3 million that I talked about in the beginning, when I lost all my money because I didn't play ball with corruption in Nigeria, you know, let me tell you, I have flown first class all my life. Now I could not afford a plane ticket. A friend of mine called me to Kilifi here. He said, don't die in Nigeria, come and recover. So I went to Kilifi to recover. I was so poor that poor people called me poor. Now, let me tell you something. Can you imagine when you are certified poor? Certified. And you know what certification means. When you are certified poor, And then poor people, those people who are certified poor, look at you and say, damn, Wale is poor. That's where I was. I could not afford a plane ticket from Mombasa to Nairobi. I was using tuk-tuk. Tuk-tuk. 50 shillings. And when they've carried me 10 times and I've not paid them, they stop carrying me. Then I moved to the next one. So I had a whole line of tuk-tuks. I had a powerful network of tuk-tuks that I owed money. When they came to disconnect, when I finally got a place, the power people came to disconnect my electricity. It is when you have money, you negotiate. When you don't have money, you say, it's okay. Coach, would you like to drink water while you are doing it? I had no power for 2 months. We had no water for like 4 months. But our neighbor had a tap, so we connected the hose to the neighbor's tap. So when you talk about poverty, me, I've been there. And it is, let me tell you, it is better not to have than to have and then you don't have. Because when you have, you want to eat lobster and prawns on skewers. Hey, when you don't have, when they give you one funny looking mandazi, you say, praise the Lord. That is where I was. To buy a mathematical set for my son, 80 shillings, was a prayer point. Not ordinary prayer or revival prayer. You understand what I'm saying? I was in the bus, the cheapest bus from Mombasa then, from Kilifi, was called Busways. There was another one, Taufik. And when you sit inside that thing, when it turns the bend, you think, oh God, I'm coming home. I mean, one woman was sitting with 2 children on a seat next to me without asking for permission. She just gave me one to hold. Say, hold this one. I am traveling at night because I don't want people to see me. So the whole night I'm rocking a child. I don't know if he's male or female. I don't know. Baby. Then I get to Voi. I'm sleeping. I get to Voi. Then somebody taps me. Pa. I say, what? Jugu Korosho. At 2 a.m. I wanted to slap him. 2 a.m. That is where I'm coming from. That is where I'm coming from. But you know what? I had a dream of where I was going to. And I created the environment for where I was going to. Even in that state, I never interacted with people who are talking defeat. No. I was poorer than all of them put together. You understand what I'm saying? But man, as long as your mind does not accept poverty, your body will find a way out. So I made up my mind. You know, I created that environment around me. Now let's rush through this before. Let's rush through. I'm going to just rush through this. This I don't think we. All right. Okay, good. Social benefit. That's another thing. That it's so important. We've carried out a survey and said that where financial benefit is greater than social benefit, there's no spectacular performance. Social benefit is the benefit somebody gets by working in your organization other than their salary. All right? And it's something that you need to deliberately look at if we're talking culture. But now, one of the things we do, we help create environment in which key objectives will find expression. We help build emotionally intelligent teams. We help build enthusiastic and positive teams with the right attitude. But let me now take you to the next. Okay, no. This is, sorry, my pointer. These are some of the things, and I'm just going to run through that normally come as a result. But let me now take you to where, let me round this up. So all these things are the things that we help to develop all those things. All right? Because this is what people call me Mr. Culture. I'm so passionate about it. And this is what I do everywhere now with organizations and governments to help create the environment where the strategy will be a natural progression. Let me tell you a story I shared last night when we were having dinner. One administration in Nigeria wanted to change the price of petrol from 3 naira per liter to 3 naira per liter to 7 naira per liter. So the oil minister went on television and said, we are changing oil price from 3 naira to 11 naira. So people began to riot. People hit the streets. They hit the streets rioting. Nigeria was paralyzed. But there's a threshold after which, you know what, people want to go back to work. When they got to that threshold, after about 10 days, the president goes on air and says, we have seen the suffering of the Nigerian people. And so we are reducing oil prices from 11 naira to 7. Everybody clapped and went back to work. Because when you create the environment, performance is natural. Now, these are my parting shots. That is a car called the Bugatti. That car is $2.5 million before tax. And you understand that. So that's an expensive car. $2.5 million, isn't it? Is that expensive? It's very expensive. But guess what? If your name is Bill Gates and you have a net worth of 86 billion, you can buy 34,400 Bugattis. Okay? And it's 0.03% of his wealth. It's like having $1 and spending $3,000 for a car, having $1 million and spending $3,000. Is that expensive? So, get ready for this. It's never about the price. It's always about capacity. It's never about targets. You know, we say it's never about price. How many of you remember sometimes when you thought something was very expensive? And then suddenly, as you rise up, you don't think it's expensive anymore, isn't it? Did the price change? No, your capacity changed. And this will help us maintain the right attitude. You know, I used to get upset when I see something and I can't afford it. And I used to get and I say, this thing is too expensive. It's not the price. It's your capacity. It's not the price. Tell your neighbor, I like this Naija boy. It is not the price. It's your capacity. If you will stop focusing about price, and remember where we started, the loan relay, stop focusing about price. Focus on your capacity. Then you will get to a point price becomes irrelevant. Is somebody hearing me? Salespeople are always complaining about targets. It's never about the target, it's always about capacity. Please read that out loud. 1, 2, go. It's all about capacity. All right? Now, let me ask you, where is that? Okay, that's a slum in America. That was during the Depression. Let me show you something interesting. A lot of money was lost. All right? And look at, let me show you. This is a lineup of people looking for jobs. During the Depression, people would throw themselves out of windows and commit suicide. 12 million people were out of work. 12,000 people made unemployed every day. 20,000 companies bankrupt. 1,600 banks bankrupt. One farmer in 20 evicted. 23,000 people commit suicide in 1 year. And all of them blamed it on what? The economy. Isn't it? They all blamed it on the economy. Now, during that same period, Walt Disney was started. During that same period, HP was started. During that same period, Sheraton Hotels was founded. And during that same period, Duracell batteries were started. And my favorite, during that same period, KFC was started. Now, guess what? The same time when people were committing suicide, blaming it on the economy, some of the world's greatest companies were born. So guess what? It's not the economy, it was what? Capacity. And Nigerians understand capacity very well. Of course, Africans, you and I will look at this and we say this is difficult. Because Africans, you know, but it's never difficult. It's always about building your capacity, yes or no? Now, Nigerians understand capacity, and this is where we never have power. That's another problem. We have so much sun, and yet we never have power. You know? So everybody, and that's why Nigerians speak loudly. Because every house has a generator that's making noise. So if I have to speak to my neighbor, I have to shout. So we just stayed with shouting. That's why we shout. So don't blame us for shouting. Blame the people that didn't give us power. Now, 1 kVA generator will probably give you a light bulb, a few light bulbs and all that. If you try to put on your iron, it will go off. 5 kVA will give you more. 25 kVA, my goodness, you put on your air conditioners, your fridge and everything, you're good. Then if you have 100 kVA, you can supply the street. Okay? Now, all these things produce electricity, but their output is a function of what? So your output is a function of your capacity. Now, the truth about capacity is that it's never about how cute you look. It's always about your ability to deliver. Capacity is an inside job. Personal development is personal. You cannot delegate it. All right? And it cannot be faked. In fact, there's one of the proverbs of Wale states this. Let me show you this picture. You see that? You see this picture? Huh? I can imagine what that guy is telling the horse. Come on, honey. Come on, sweetie. But no amount of motivation can motivate a horse to fly. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Motivation will not help if you do not have something that you are working to and ready to build capacity. Ron Wayne is a guy that I don't know, a lot of people may not know about. But this guy is somebody you should know about because he tells you how not to live. Okay? This guy, he lives in a mobile home in Nevada. He sells stamps. He's on Social Security. Now, but do you know Ron Wayne was one of the 3 founders of Apple? And today he's living on Social Security. One of the 3 founders of Apple alongside Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. This was the 3rd man. But one day, look what he did. He sold 10% of his stake in Apple for $2,300. You know what we call people like this in my country? Mumu. What did I say? Mumu. Mumu, people who think they are thinking but just rotating ignorance. Mumu. Tell your neighbor, I'm happy you are not a mumu. Then ask the other neighbor, or are you? Hey, 10%. Now guess what? Apple is valued at around 700 billion. This mumu sold 10%. Now, this guy should be in the museum of mumus. What do you think his children and grandchildren, when they hear about their father? He was the poster boy for international mumuism. Now, let's just put it in perspective, and I'm out. Apple is bigger than Microsoft, than Google, than both of them combined. Apple is bigger than the entire US interstate system. Bigger than the economy of Singapore. Bigger than the global coffee industry. Those are the things Apple is bigger than. Now don't forget this mumu. He would have been a multi-billionaire. So how did he miss it? It could have been short-sightedness. It could have been fear. But my summary is he did not have the capacity for the next level. And you need to do yourself a favor by building your personal capacity. That will determine if you will move to the next level or not. One of my books called I talk about mental independence. And I wrote another book called Help My Chocolate is Melting. What is Help My Chocolate is Melting? it was inspired by a movie I watched where this guy was told to build a chocolate castle. And he began to build it. And suddenly, while he was building it, he started in the morning, then the sun began to shine. So what happened to his house? It began to melt. If you do things under certain condition and condition changes and you don't change, you become a victim. And you begin to complain. All right? So, Ron Wayne. My performance is a function of culture. Capacity must be developed for the new culture, whether personally or as an organization. Once capacity is built, the rest is easy. I want us to say those three things to the person next to you. 1, 2, go. And like I said, this works for you as an individual. It works for the organization. It works whether you're at the family level and all that. Now, this is my final slide. So after this slide, I'm sitting down. We have books all over the place. Like I said, my publisher is here. Why do some dream of success while others wake up to achieve it? It explains itself. Mental Independence is an innovator's guide to transformational thinking. Help My Chocolate is Melting is a book on managing different changes around you. Iwale is a collection of some of my articles from The Nation. The Billionaire Within and Secrets of the Billionaire Within are some, elements of the story of my life that I told you. All right, but no, people don't know I'm the one there. That's the story. So all these books are around. But the one I really want to push, because I don't want to mumus here, it's called Creative Thinking for Phenomenally Effective People. Creative thinking. Because the truth is that most people do not develop to the next form because their brains have been contained by the present form. Does that make sense? And that's why when I say 2, 4, 6, 8. Excellent. Because the human brain executes logical sequences. But if I say 2, 9, 15, 30, 45, you don't know what to do. Because it does not fit into a box of logic. Thinking outside the box is actually thinking outside the box of logic. There's a triangle, I call it the Wallace triangle, of the obvious, the comfortable, and the known. Most of us operate within that triangle, but innovation never happens inside that triangle. So creative thinking talks about that. And I want to listen carefully. Are you ready? Are you ready? I want to give everybody here a copy of Creative Thinking. Terms and conditions apply. Oga, wait now. Terms and conditions. So what I want to do is this. You go there, ask for a free copy of Creative Thinking, and just buy at least 2 books from them. If you buy 2, 3, 4, whatever number of books you buy, as long as you buy more than one, you will get a free copy of Creative Thinking. Is that a good deal? Yes. My publisher, is that a good deal, sir? I have your permission. Okay, so we move on. All right? Now, but there's one copy of Creative Thinking here. I want to do something before I leave. No. Let me do something. Daktari, you are going to love this. You are going to love this. Are you ready? Now, opportunities must always be seized. All right? And one of the biggest ways to move to the next form is to learn the secret of seizing opportunities. Now, I'm going to do a little exercise here. Let's imagine these books are opportunities. Just imagine. Is that okay? Just imagine. Now, I want you to sit down until I finish my experiment. Don't move. So imagine this is an opportunity. I put it here. Just sit down where you are. Just sit down. Don't move. This is another one. Sit down. This is another one. Just sit down. I'm doing something. Just leave them. And this is another one. Sit down. Don't do anything. Just sit down. This is another one. Now just sit down. Okay? And then these are two. Just sit down where you are. Sit down where you are. Okay? Just sit down where you are. Now, what are those things that I put there? Okay. Now, let me explain the way it works. All right. Fantastic. How many of you got a book? Come on, clap for the people that got books. I just told you opportunities are meant to be seized, not to look at them like Luko said. You are looking at them. And then there was a brother there, you took the book and I just did like this and you gave me back. Come on, lift your hand, say, I refuse to be a mumu. How can I? And I just did like this. I just did like this and he picked it up. He gave it back to me. Opportunities are meant to be grabbed. So, put the slide. I want you to read something. Put the slide. I want you to read this. I want you to read this at the top of your voice. Is that okay? Okay, if I can get this to... Okay, can you manually just... Okay, I want you to read that out loud. 1, 2, go. Did you get it? All right. Put the next slide. Put the next slide. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I hope you had a good time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So thank you very much. And we need to give him a big round of applause again. You know, one thing he said is that he's a certified poor. So I was thinking about CPA. And I hope he's not replacing certified public accountants with certified poor accountants. So the CPA is different from what he said. So I will take just 2 comments, very brief, if there are. If there are any comments, just 2 or anything someone say. No comments. So what I would request is that I would request one of our council members, CPA, not CPA, she's honorary CPA, Damaris Kimosop, to come and give a token of appreciation to our presenter. And as she comes, I will teach you how to give a very nice round of applause. I like number 5, so I will continue with number 5. We shall do 5 factorial for him, whereby we clap 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and then once, all right? Are we ready for that? All right. So as they do it, we'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then 1. Let's go. No, it should be faster. It should be faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. Thank you. So as I call upon Tom to give some remarks, every time I stand here, you know, being a council member and a candidate, I must give a remark about my candidature. And I take this humble opportunity to request for your vote and support. And support my high 5 agenda. And I will appreciate your support to continue serving you for my second and final term. God bless you and enjoy your stay in Mombasa. Thank you.
Tupige makofi tena. That was good. Good presentation. I think we all feel like we need more and more of that. Is it? More and more of that, because we are not mumus. Is it? Tell someone, I refuse to be a mumu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I quickly want to go through announcements. First of all, The opening ceremony, if you like, this DVD is there, outside there, at the CSR or scholarship desk. You can pick one there, but you talk to them, they tell you how to pick one from that place, the opening ceremony. You're going to have other DVDs or other sessions, which you can also be able to pick. Again, presentations shall be shared by end of the day today. We'll tell you most probably before you go for lunch on the website. We'll send you SMS to show you how to download them. Then raffle is going on, and I think I would say that we are happy with the participation so far. If you have not gone to the scholarship desk to support that noble cause, please make a point to pass by and participate in the raffle. We have 2 nights to win at Sarova, Lion Hill in Nakuru. We have 2 nights at Ziwa Beach. We have dinner for 2 at English Point Marina, dinner for 2 at Lido's Restaurant at Sarova, and many more other prizes to be won if you go at the scholarship desk out there. What you shall be doing, you shall be enjoying and having fun, standing a chance to win, while at the same time supporting a very important cause, what identifies us as developers of accountancy profession. Then I mentioned yesterday about dinner, that if you'd like to bring on board an accompanying person in the evening, you need to pay 3,500 to be able to support the hosting of that accompanying person. If it's going to be a couple, it's 6,000 per couple. All you need to do, before 2 o'clock today, you pay this by M-Pesa. Our pay bill number is 722-722. Begin with AS for account, the pay bill account. Pay bill number is 722-722. Then the account number is AS, then put your member number. So that way, you shall have invited one more person. We are coming back at exactly 11 for a very, very interesting session, which is going to be facilitated by our leaders who are in politics. And we hope that by 11 sharp, we shall be seated. It's going to be a very interesting session, and I think you don't want us to delay. You don't want us to cut it short just because of delay. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.